In the brutal arithmetic of 20th century warfare, victory was a function of industrial mass. How many millions of tons of steel Lockheed Martin or Northrop Grumman could forge into monolithic, multi-billion-dollar platforms. But today, that legacy model is facing a terminal gist filter failure. Imagine a $2 billion B-21 Raider being neutralized by a swarm of $5,000 autonomous loitering munitions, or a carrier strike group forced to retreat because its defensive interceptors cost 100 times more than the incoming attritable threats. This is the asymmetric cost exchange trap, and it's the exact paradox that Palmer Luckey, the man who sold Oculus to Facebook for $2 billion before being unceremoniously ousted, decided to weaponize. While the Pentagon was busy overspecifying hardware that took decades to field, Luckey's startup, Anduril Industries, was quietly building the Lattice OS, a software-first neural network for the battlefield that treats hardware as a disposable peripheral. Anduril isn't just another defense contractor. It is a Silicon Valley predator designed to exploit the sclerotic inertia of the traditional defense industrial base, DIB. By June 2025, after a massive $2.5 billion Series G round led by Founders Fund, Anduril's valuation skyrocketed to $30.5 billion, effectively doubling in less than a year. This isn't speculative hype. It's a reflection of a fundamental shift in the American war machine's net information gain. For the first time in history, a private company is developing weapons with its own capital, R&D, and selling them as finished products, bypassing the cost-plus procurement trap that has allowed legacy primes to profit from delays and budget overruns. We are witnessing the birth of the software-defined defense era, where the winner isn't the one with the biggest factory, but the one with the most efficient sensor-to-shooter latency. To understand Anduril's disruptive semantic nodes, we must look at the wreckage of the 1990s Last Supper, where the U.S. government forced dozens of defense firms to merge into 5 behemoth primes. This consolidation created a monoculture of requirements-driven development, where the military asks for a Swiss Army knife jet, and Lockheed spends 20 years and $1.7 trillion on the F-35 to deliver it. Luckey, alongside Palantir veterans Trey Stevens and Brian Schimpf, realized that the modern battlefield is no longer a theater of hardware, but a data processing environment. They founded Anduril in 2017 with a radical premise: treat the Department of Defense like a venture capital client. Instead of waiting for a 500-page request for proposal, RFP, they built autonomous surveillance towers and drones on their own dime, then proved they worked in the field. A proactive capability delivery model that the legacy primes are structurally incapable of matching. This strategic pivot is anchored in the concept of dual-use autonomy. By utilizing semantic IDs, usually reserved for high-end tech, like computer vision, edge computing, and mesh networking, Anduril transformed simple hardware into intelligent nodes. Their foundational product, the Lattice operating system, serves as the Common Operating Picture, COP, ingesting disparate data streams from air, land, and sea to automate the OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, act. While Lockheed Martin's business model relies on sustainment contracts, charging the taxpayer for decades of maintenance, Anduril's model is built on continuous iteration. They don't just sell a drone. They sell a system that gets smarter every 24 hours via software pushes. This commercial-first approach allowed them to scale from a border patrol startup to a prime-level competitor in record time, securing the $22 billion IVAS, Integrated Visual Augmentation System, contract from Microsoft in 2025 after the tech giant failed to meet the Army's ruggedized AI requirements. Anduril's asymmetric return on equity is driven by a business architecture that looks more like Tesla's than Boeing's. The core of their financial dominance lies in Arsenal One, a 5 million square foot hyperscale manufacturing facility in Ohio announced in early 2025. This isn't just a factory, it's a gigafactory for attrition, designed to churn out tens of thousands of autonomous systems annually using commercial off-the-shelf (COTS) components and modular robotics. In 2024, Anduril's revenue hit the $1 billion milestone, representing a staggering 138% year-over-year growth from 2023's $420 million. Unlike the 8 to 10% gross margins typical of legacy primes like Raytheon or General Dynamics, Anduril targets margins in the 40 to 45% range by owning the intellectual property and charging fixed price for superior performance rather than billable hours for labor-intensive development. The semantic intelligence within their portfolio is terrifyingly efficient. Take the Bolt M, a man-packable loitering munition that recently secured a $23.9 million contract for the U.S. Marines OPFL program. Weighing just 12 to 15 pounds, it delivers a 40-minute endurance and 20-kilometer range, utilizing onboard AI to maintain target custody even when the operator loses line of sight. Then there is Roadrunner M, a twin-turbojet autonomous interceptor that can take off vertically, destroy an incoming threat, and, if no target is found, return to base and land autonomously to be refueled. This recoverable ordnance concept is a financial black swan for the industry. It effectively turns a sunk-cost weapon into a reusable asset. Furthermore, their integration into the AUKUS, Australia, UK, US alliance, and the Replicator initiative has positioned them to capture a massive slice of the $38 billion AI defense market projected for 2030. To maintain this alpha, Anduril has vertically integrated its supply chain in ways that bypass the fragility of global logistics. In August 2025, they opened a dedicated solid rocket motor facility in Mississippi, utilizing a $14.3 million Defense Production Act grant to ensure they aren't reliant on the same backlogged suppliers as Lockheed. This industrial onshoring is critical for what Luckey calls massive attritable mass, the ability to lose 1,000 drones in a day and replace them by the next morning. By the end of 2024, the company was already producing 100 Bolt M units per month, with a trajectory toward 175 by late 2025. This velocity of production is their ultimate moat. While a legacy prime might take 18 months to produce a single complex missile, Anduril is optimizing for tactical throughput, treating weapon systems like software-defined hardware that can be scaled horizontally across Arsenal One's automated lines. The strategic inflection point occurred when the Pentagon officially embraced the attritable mass doctrine, essentially admitting that the era of exquisite platforms, the $100 million jets and $13 billion carriers, was over in the face of peer-adversary electronic warfare and drone swarms. Anduril capitalized on this by becoming the primary beneficiary of the Replicator program, which demands thousands of low-cost, AI-enabled systems deployed within 18 to 24 months. This shifted Anduril from being a niche disruptor to a systemic necessity. When the U.S. Air Force awarded Anduril a contract for the Collaborative Combat Aircraft (CCA) program, it wasn't just a win, it was a regime change. They beat out traditional giants by proving their Fury autonomous fighter could go from concept to first flight in under 2 years, a feat that normally takes a decade of bureaucratic requirements creep. This shift is rooted in the software-led integration of the Lattice OS. By 2025, Lattice had moved beyond just controlling Anduril's own drones to becoming the universal translator for the entire military ecosystem. Through the Lattice Partner Program, third-party companies like Textron and Saronic now integrate their hardware into Anduril's software stack. This creates a network effect, where Anduril becomes the Windows of warfare. Once a military branch adopts Lattice for its command and control, C2, the switching costs become astronomical. They aren't just selling hardware anymore. They are building a platform as a service, PaaS, for national security. This horizontal expansion into undersea, dive-LD, space, impulse space partnership, and electronic warfare, pulsar, ensures that Anduril doesn't just replace Lockheed Martin in one category, it envelops the entire defense value chain. The capital DNA lesson of Anduril is that in a world of rapid obsolescence, the ultimate competitive advantage isn't scale, it's iteration velocity. Palmer Luckey didn't just build a better drone, he built a capital-efficient innovation engine that exploits the gap between exponential technology and linear bureaucracy. By deploying private venture capital into R&D, Anduril maintains total IP sovereignty, allowing them to move at the speed of software while their competitors are trapped in the gain-sapping cycle of government-funded research. This is asymmetric warfare applied to the balance sheet. Minimize the time to value for the customer while maximizing the margin per unit through automation. For the premium investor, Anduril represents the great rebundling of American industrial power and Silicon Valley intelligence. The future of global hegemony won't be decided by who has the most steel, but by who has the most intelligent mass at the lowest marginal cost.